Hey, fire team, happy Monday. So I'm gonna give y'all a couple minutes to get on here. I might invite some people, and then we'll get started with this awesome topic. I'm excited about this one. I love talking about the things, you know, I'm all about the fitness and nutrition, of course, but I also love talking about the things that most people don't think of when it comes to, you know, diet and losing weight. So people just assume, okay, well, it's all about, you know, what I eat and how I work out, which is true, but there's also a lot of other factors involved. So we're going to talk about just 5 of those. There's a lot actually, but we'll just stick to 5. So I'm inviting some of you guys, and then we'll get started. Let me know you're here. Say hello. Say where you're at, where you're from, just so I know you're here. See if we can get some people to join us. So I am in super hot and sweaty Las Vegas. I cannot wait to get out of here. I don't like Vegas. It's nice to be back in kind of a city again because I got a lot of errands done, but I prefer the wilderness and more remote places, definitely. So I'm ready to get out of here. I'm not used to the noise and the lights. I'm used to a lot of quiet. All right, so I'll stop there. All right, hello. So if you're joining me, go ahead and say hello. All right, so I'm going to start on this topic, and if you have any questions or any comments, please just type them in so I can see. Let's see the comments. There we go. There we go. All right, so let's talk about 5, just 5, because there actually are more. I could do probably a whole 2-hour lecture on this specific topic. But 5 things that don't have to do with dieting and don't have to do with what kinds of working out you're doing or how much you're working out, that actually tell your body to store fat. So there are things in your life, maybe right now, that are contributing to that. So these are the things, like, once you get your fitness and your nutrition dialed down, these are things that you definitely need to be looking at, especially if you're struggling, or especially if you've hit a weight plateau and you're like, wow, you know, I work out 5 days a week, I eat perfectly, I'm, you know, never have a cheat. What's going on? Why am I not losing weight anymore? I still have all this extra body fat my body should be shedding, and I'm not making any progress. Well, most likely it's one of these 5 things, if not a combination of those, or there's some other things that we could look at as well. So, I mean, I have a list of things that I go through with my clients when they're experiencing plateaus, and usually we can find the culprits. So once we start working on those things, they magically start losing weight again. So these are very real things that you need to be aware of if you're interested in, you know, continuing on shedding body fat from your body. So one of my favorite, I call him my keto Jesus, Jimmy Moore. If you don't follow him, definitely do that. He's such a sweetheart, and he was the voice that I found out in the darkness, that led me down this journey in choosing a low carb lifestyle. So he has been talking about this topic a lot lately, because in his own life, hey Jim, do you want to join us on camera? You can add to this topic if you want, or if you want to just watch, you just let me know. There we go. Hi. Get Mr. Jim on here. It says adding. Anyway, so Jimmy Moore, so he's been talking about this topic a lot, and his issue, he had some significant trauma that been working on that, and that has actually helped him start losing weight again. How crazy is that? So, think about just things like that mentally, he was holding on to. So I'm definitely a believer in our bodies hold our stress. And Basil Vanderkolk is one of the biggest researchers in the trauma area, and he has a whole book that I've read about that specific topic. It's called "The Body Keeps the Score." And hey, Dr. Christy, thanks for joining us. So glad to see you on here. So just keep that in mind. If you are on to
How's it?
come on or not contribute.
Say again?
I didn't know if you wanted to come on and contribute to this topic as we go through these items.
Yeah, I can. I'm out. Was just out taking care of chickens, so.
Okay. Yeah, so if anybody needs any eggs, hit up Jim Walter, one of our fire team whiskey trainers.
Yeah. Once they all get to the right size, we'll have like 30 layers. So we have a ton of chickens.
Wow. Oh man, I wish I had me some fresh eggs. All right, so let's get started on the topic. 5 things that help your body hold on weight and fat that have nothing to do with dieting and fitness. So the first one you probably guessed is the number one thing that people struggle with, which is stress. Yeah, so you all probably, I'm going to start with the obvious ones. Stress is definitely one of them. So stress increases your cortisol levels. It also increases your blood sugar and your insulin. So the combination of all 3 of those things not only causes a lot of inflammation in your body, but it also, because of the increase of stress reaction, it increases your blood sugar, which is not good, right? We don't want more sugar in our bodies. That's what we're teaching you. We want to reduce that. And so when you have an excess sugar in your body, then your insulin has to respond to that because it has to store it. If you're not using it, then it has to store it. So it's going to take that blood sugar and it's going to store this fat. So increased stress, increased cortisol affects your ability to lose weight. So this is a big issue with the first responder community. So this is the number one thing that we struggle with, with helping first responders, is to work on those stress levels. Because when you're having, when you're sitting in the fire station and you have a call, and that anxiety starts to get triggered and you're getting on scene and it's a bad scene and it's stressful and it's chaotic and you're frantically working and you're trying to save people's lives, your stress is up, your cortisol is up. It's just a natural body response. So to try and mitigate some of this, the techniques would be to, have some sort of depressurizing time after that, to practice regular de-stressing types of practices like meditation or yoga, or even therapy, or just taking some time to go on a walk with maybe your partner and kind of process some of these feelings out, just to kind of get it out of your body. Basically, you got to clear the body of that stress that you're hanging on to. And Jim, chime in if you have any additional comments you want to make.
The only comment that I had was, you pretty much hit, was just doing something about it. I like to work out. That's my thing for stress. Just for me, the more physical, the better it is. I know it's weird like that, but I'm also the guy who loves roofing. So, nobody ever said I was normal.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, good to see you. Hey, Cliff, long time no see, buddy. So good to see you on here. All right, so the next one, I'll stick with the obvious ones for the first ones, and then we'll go into the ones that you might not know about. So sleep sleep is huge, and it is related to stress. But finally, I think it was late last year, the CDC finally came out and did this formalized statement that they acknowledge that poor sleep, poor sleep management, a chronic lack of sleep is actually one of the major contributors to obesity in the United States. The CDC actually finally came out and said this. So we in the health field have known this for a long time. I know Dr. Christie knows this because she sees people every day who are struggling like this in her practice. So sleep is a major contributor, a correlator to, and a causator to obesity in the United States. And one of the things that most people assume, and they assume this about their food, we're not going to talk about food right now, most people assume is that you can make up for, quote unquote, poor sleep. You cannot. The damage is done. When you have a crappy night's sleep, the damage is done in your body. You cannot make up for that by sleeping 12 hours the next day or taking a nap the next day. There's no such thing as making up for hurting yourself. So just imagine that, you cut your arm and you say, well, I'll make up for it tomorrow by not cutting my arm. The scar doesn't magically go away. You cut your arm, the damage was done. Now the healing has to go through. So think of sleep as that. Think of sleep as something that you have to protect. And when you don't protect it, you are getting damage done to your system. So what does lack of sleep do to your bodies? It increases the stress reaction. So you may not even be stressed out. Okay, let's say you live a wonderful life and nothing ever stresses you out and nobody ever bothers you and you never get road rage, right? But if you're not sleeping, if you're staying up all night playing World of Warcraft and you're getting 4 hours of sleep a night, you are actually triggering the body's fight or flight reaction. You're getting that cortisol up in your body and you're having those same kind of reactions that we just talked about with stress. So lack of sleep equals stress in your body. Jim, you want to say anything about that?
Well, it's kind of funny that you were talking about lack of sleep. I have my partner in crime that just joined us.
Your lack of sleep right there, yeah.
Right. So, when my wife was pregnant, that was always a battle. And how do you make sure that you maintain the sleep schedule and do all this stuff, especially with her being able to breastfeed and all that stuff, which is a huge blessing to be able to do that for him. But we always battled the sleep schedule. So we would try to alternate as best as we can. And she was staying at home. So unluckily, I'm not out trying to pick a fight or anything. But since I worked a full-time job and I know a mother's job is completely different, I'm not dismissing that. So please, I'm not here to pick a fight. I'm just giving you experience.
Oh God, Jim's gonna get canceled.
Right. So what I would do is my job is physically and mentally demanding on a day-to-day basis. So I got the lucky card and I got to sleep most of the time, which was a 6 to 8 hour stretch. But for her, most of the time, if I could on the weekend, is I would help out on some of that stuff so she could also get sleep. And it shows on her diet and everything. And I see the direct connection with the lack of sleep and the sleep schedule with weight gain and how difficult and challenging it is. Another thing that I've noticed with the sleep schedule is your motivation level when it comes time for doing this stuff, and your discipline level just completely gets diminished because you are tired. I get it. So.
Good point. Yeah, that's a really good point because that affects your decision-making processes. So then, and your motivation. So then you're not motivated to stick with your diet or, keep up the willpower and not eat from the donuts that somebody brought in at work that day and you got 4 hours of sleep and you're cranky and you're tired. And so it's kind of like this spiral that you kind of get into when this is consistent. So Cliff asked, what can we do for more energy? Break the eat sleep cycle. So yeah, Cliff. So I work with my clients on this stuff all the time. So let's just talk about just some quick sleep hygiene tips. Sleep hygiene would be not looking at devices and TV and not having a lot of stimulation at least up to 2 hours before your bedtime. So for me, I turn everything off 2 hours before bedtime. I try not to look at my phone or, try to wrap everything up. If I have to look at my phone, I put it on the blue screen filter. You have a blue light filter on your phone. Some people even have blue light blocker lenses that they can wear. And then you got to dim your lights in your house because you're kind of setting the tone for your circadian rhythm to start slowing things down and to start releasing some of that tryptophan and melatonin that you naturally have in your bodies, to start, that starts producing, and then it increases over time. So you got to send the signals to your biology first. Try not to eat 2 hours before bed too, because you're activating your digestive system. So your body's kind of getting a little bit more energetic to digest. um, Research has shown actually drinking a little bit of salt before bedtime helps improve your sleep cycles. So drinking some electrolytes, like my favorite element, maybe before bed, having a little glass of water with a little bit of element in it. So getting a little bit of hydration before bed, not overhydrating, because then you have to like get up and pee, and that's going to interrupt your sleep cycle, but balancing that out. Keeping it very cold at night in your house. So as cold as you possibly can tolerate has been shown to improve sleep. Some people sleep better with a heavier type of comforter, because it's just kind of, again, it kind of triggers some of those relaxation, like it feels good, it feels relaxing, we're not feeling stressed. And then what's the other one? Some people prefer white noise, some people prefer dead silence. So whatever you prefer, whatever works for you, do that. I like to sometimes turn on on Audible. They have some of these kind of guided sleep meditations. I use that quite frequently to help me kind of slowly fall asleep. So I'll turn that on maybe 30 minutes before I want to go to bed. And then lastly, melatonin. Supplementing with melatonin is very helpful. I've found it for myself, and I've found it for clients that I've worked with. Just like a dose of melatonin 20 to 30 minutes before you go to sleep can help you kind of, if you have trouble getting to sleep. And then for the people who have trouble and they wake up in the middle of the night and they're up for hours, when you wake it up, I have them just having a dose right next to their bed. They wake up, they drink it with a little bit of salt water, and they're able to get right back to sleep. So that's something if you struggle in the middle of the night. All right, so those were some sleep and cortisol stress. All right, we did that. Okay, so let's talk about the not as obvious ones. We just talked a little bit about dehydration and electrolytes and how important those are for your body. Most people, I think, are chronically dehydrated. I know I was before I started working on my health journey, because basically all I drank was Diet Cokes all day. So that is not water. I never drank water, basically. So unless I was forced to by the military. So dehydration is huge. And again, this is something that triggers inflammation. This is something that triggers the body's stress response. So you need to not only drink water, but drinking electrolytes is key. And I know some of you guys did the Guns and Hoses and got some samples of that element. That's one of my favorite brands. If you go to our website, you can actually get a free sample pack from them if you go to the website, just for $5 shipping. So you can try all their flavors, check it out, see if you like it. Magnesium, sodium, potassium and salt your food. That'll help you maintain hydration, because if you're just chugging gallons of water, you're going to dilute your electrolytes in your body, and you can actually cause a very, very terrible harm to your kidneys. Jim, you have anything else to say on that?
You're hitting some sweet spots right there for me. We were talking about this very similar topic here in our house because my daughter, who's playing softball, and it's now getting gross in Iowa, the humidity's kicking up, and she just one game passed out and hit the ground. Um, Part of it was the fact that she wasn't maintaining her nutrition shortly after her workout. She kept arguing with us, saying she wasn't hungry, she wouldn't eat. And then we couldn't even get her to drink any Gatorade because we knew it was coming. Was the dehydration was definitely setting in. And then she was shot for the rest of the day because she went down and the dehydration kicked in. It wasn't real severe, thankfully, but it's enough to maintain the that she needs to be more aware and maintain what's going on. So I'm thankful that I got some of that element, and we're going to be sending it with her to the softball tournament this weekend to kind of help prevent that. To see it firsthand and to be, she'll be 14, so she of course knows everything because most daughters do, but now if we can just get her to stay hydrated, she's not a huge fan of Gatorade because we've kind of broken the whole drink Gatorade because it's good for you train. I'm sure at one time Gatorade was good for you, but now it's just full of sugar and garbage and crap. So definitely pay attention. One of the components to tell if you are starting on dehydration, I like to say that it should be just a little yellowish. Your urine should be just a little yellowish. If it starts turning like brown, and if you start having a really pungent odor, it's time that you start drinking some water, and a lot. Being out in the heat, it's when you're working. I do construction for those of you that don't know. That's the one thing I push on my guys all the time is water, water, water. Make sure they got plenty of bottles of water. I have 2 or 3 20 packs in addition to it. But just to maintain the electrolytes, those are the guys that I'll let have the Gatorade because, well, they'll burn off that sugar in about an hour anyway.
Yeah. Oh, and that's a good point. So another issue, because you mentioned your daughter and not being hungry. So here's the thing, guys. A lot of times we are not really picking up the signals our bodies are throwing at us, and we may feel hungry or feel like we are hungry, but we're actually dehydrated. So one of the tips is to drink 8 ounces of water before you actually eat, and see if maybe that's what was going on, is your body kind of mixed up the signals. It was telling you you're hungry and you actually are dehydrated. So that's another tip to maintaining your hydration. And if you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated, by
Yep.
the way. Thirst is an indication that you're already there. You're not getting there, you're already there. And so this morning when I ran, I started my run and I was thirsty instantly, and I'm like, uh-oh, I'm already dehydrated. I'm just starting my run. This isn't good. So I kind of turned right back around. I went to the car, drank a little bit. I've got my electrolytes. I always have them with me, and kind of got a few gulps in before I took off on my run again, and then I drank all of my water when I got back from my run. So if you're feeling thirsty, it's too late. You're already dehydrated. So know that, it's not just a little bit of thirst. You're there already, so you need to really focus down on getting that taken care of. And, some people tend to overeat because they feel like, well, I'm just hungry, and actually maybe all the while you've just been dehydrated.
Quick little remedy on getting some electrolytes. If you can get a dill pickle down your system, that's a quick way for getting electrolytes in. If you don't have all the other stuff, because I know some people are like, well, I don't have all that. I don't have element. I don't have this. If you've got a dill pickle, do that, or drink just a little bit of pickle juice. It sounds kind of corny, but it works. It's very effective, and it's quick, and you
Yeah.
start feeling better immediately.
Yeah. I have little salt packets in the car, just just in case. It's you can just throw them in. I mean, I know it's not tasty, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. So yeah, if you have to try, if you've got to get something from the gas station, and you need to hydrate, definitely get the Gatorade Zero or Propel Zero. Make sure to look for that on the label. Yes, it still has dyes and colors and atrocious things in it, but at least it's not packed with sugar like the regular electrolyte drinks. So, I would say if you got to do that, then get the zero ones. All right, so the next two, oh, wait, we did four. One, two, three, four. No, we didn't. We got two more. Okay, the next two are the ones that you may not have thought of. So the next one is, now we're not going to talk about the actual food, but we're going to talk about food timing. So the thing that makes your body hold on to weight sometimes would be your meal time. This is something that most people don't think about. So our bodies are pretty simple. If they're burning glucose, they're burning glucose. If you're burning glucose, you're not burning fat. So if you are eating very frequently, so every couple of hours throughout the day, or if you're a snacker, I used to be a snacker. Like I used to just constantly be like chomping on something or sipping on something sugary. You are not burning fat because you're constantly introducing glucose back into your system. So if you're constantly getting, even if it's just a little bit of carbs, you're triggering that insulin response and you're not burning fat. So your body has to get to a place where it runs out of glucose and it has to start burning other things to replace that glucose. And fat is one of those other things. Now protein is too, amino acids are too, but there's other options that your body needs to start tapping into in order to get energy. So if you're a snacker or if you're a frequent eater, I would encourage you maybe to start a little bit of intermittent fasting. I think the 38 caliber nutrition plan starts you on a short intermittent fasting window, just pushes back your eating time. So you can either do it later at the night or earlier in the morning and just push it by 2 hours. So instead of eating breakfast right away when you wake up, maybe push that back 2 hours, pack your breakfast to go, if you're on your way to work, and eat that a couple hours after you arrive at work. So, and start kind of playing with that. So you have a longer and longer window when your body can burn through that glucose and start tapping into your body fat. Jim, you have anything to say about that?
Nope, not on that one. I I'm not my body and I in fasting, we just don't get along very well. I
And
don't I
some
don't
people,
know.
yeah, some people, no matter how much they try it, it's just not good for them. They don't feel good on it, and that's fine. But and you're lean, like you're it's not like you have a lot of fat to tap into. So for leaner people, you tend to not be able to do this very well. But if you have some weight to lose, you have some body fat to lose, that's something you may want to try.
Yeah, for me, I end up eating, like I start getting so famished and I will eat everything that comes across my path. So I don't do
Yeah.
I've actually been able to push my breakfast back to about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, to where it had been, when I'd get up, I'd have to have something to eat. But now I've been able to push it back some, but I can't do, what is it, the 16/8 fasting or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
that one,
Not for everybody, but yeah, definitely talking to people who are reaching a plateau and have some extra body fat they're looking to get rid of. That might be a technique that you might want to introduce. The other side of things would be when people eat too late. This is a big weight gain issue for people. If you are eating right before you go to bed, basically all you're doing with those calories that you just consumed is storing them because you're going right to sleep, right? So if you would have otherwise maybe eaten those calories earlier in the day, you might have been able to burn through some of that glucose and those calories before you went to bed. So you're just kind of missing out on being able to kind of burn up some of that stuff before you go to bed. So, and if you're a nighttime snacker, if you get up in the middle of the night and eat, again, that adds to it. So nighttime snacking is a no-no. You gotta try and not eat a couple hours before you go to sleep.
Yep. And I will actually go to bed hungry instead of grabbing something to eat anymore. It's just, I don't know. I found that I sleep better if I
Yeah.
am just a little bit hungry than like, oh, I just ate a huge meal and now I'm going to bed.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So again, like we said that in that previous one with the sleep, improving your sleep. So yes, people who don't eat 2 hours before bed tend to have better sleep cycles because you're not introducing that digestive process right before you go to bed, and then you're just going to have interrupted sleep cycles because of that. And I do that too. Sometimes I'm like, I'm kind of hungry, but you know what? I'd rather go to sleep hungry than have a big meal in my body, because then I'm going to sleep like crap.
Yep.
All right, so the last one is one that I've only think I've talked about this once ever on a coaching call. So this is one that you may have never even heard about. So there's this thing called linoleic acid. Linoleic acid has been shown, if you consume it, it basically tells your fat cells to get bigger. That is the signal it sends. They've done lab tests on linoleic acid, and it makes your fat cells bigger. And I don't know if anybody wants to raise their hand to that, but I'm not trying to get that. Nobody wants that. So it's not that it's putting on more fat cells, it's actually making your existing fat cells bigger. So, and it targets the adipose tissue. So that is around the tummy, and that's the fat that affects your organ functioning, your hormones. That's the fat that makes you very high risk for chronic health conditions like stroke, heart disease, and cancer. So we don't want more adipose tissue. Those are the ones that are really, really terrible for your health. Where is linoleic acid found? So we all need to know this, right? Because we don't want to be consuming this stuff. So it is a polyunsaturated fatty acid, and it is found in vegetable oils. So if you are currently cooking with vegetable oils or consuming them, usually if you eat out, unfortunately, your food is being cooked in vegetable oils and linoleic acid. So as you consume this, this is the hormonal response that's being sent to your adipose tissue, your fat cells. This is found in the fat cells of visceral fat. So if you have a spare tire and you're looking to get rid of it, you need to start reading your labels and stop consuming vegetable oils and cooking with them. So a sub-in for that, so if you say, well, what do I cook with then? I cook with peanut oil or I cook with canola oil. First choice would be avocado oil. That's a seed oil. Second choice would be olive oil. And third choice would be butter or some sort of rendered fat. So what we do, we have lots of grass-fed butter, or ghee would be another, it's the clarified butter. Or we actually cut off some of the fat from our ribeyes when we cook them, and we put them in the freezer just in little Ziploc bags, and we use that to cook with a lot. And you can cook with, Dr. Christie was on here earlier. She has a little like vat of bacon grease in her cupboard. So whenever they cook bacon, you just pour it into a cup and just, you can keep it out, you can cover it. You don't even need to refrigerate it. And you can cook with that.
Great grandma had it down years and years and years ago.
Didn't she? Yes. So
Yep,
keeping,
butter,
yeah, butter
butter, and
and
butter, lard, and bacon fat. I
lard,
remember all
right?
the time.
Yes, they had it right. They
Yep,
had it right. Grandma had it right. Yep. So if you keep that that cast iron pan, nice and fatty, from your last roast that you made in that pan, then just keep cooking with it. Just keep
yep,
adding to it.
yep. We've gotten now into the skillet cooking, and we do butter is our primary go-to. We live in the Midwest, and so getting some of the avocado oil and some of the other oils, we can get them. It's ridiculously expensive.
Expensive, yeah.
So
Hmm.
so our alternative is butter. We use a ton of butter and bacon fat. I mean, for me, you can't go wrong with a cast iron skillet with bacon and farm fresh eggs, farm fresh bacon. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Who wouldn't want to eat like that? I mean, that's nothing. Like I would have no desire for a bowl of cereal. I went and took my trash out here at the RV park, and I saw somebody with, had a cereal box in there with one of those sugary cereals, and I'm like, I have no desire to eat that for breakfast. Like, give me some eggs and some bacon. I'm
Yep,
good to go.
yep, yep.
All right, so avoid those seed oils. That means you need to watch our Reading Labels Warrior Wellness video that Dr. Christie did for us. You need to read those labels, because especially packaged foods, if you get packaged foods, most likely seed oils are in them. So check those out. Try to eat as clean as possible. Eat around the perimeter so you're not consuming that linoleic acid. Try to eat in as much as possible, because at these restaurants they're cooking your food with this stuff. So the more you're intaking that linoleic acid in your body, it's telling your fat cells to get bigger. So we want to minimize that as much as possible, so we're not sending those signals to our fat cells. All right. Well, thanks, Jim, for joining us. That was fun.
Absolutely. Crazy trains, just it's never stopping here. Sorry for my kids in the background.
Oh, all right. Well, thanks for joining us. That was awesome. That was a great topic. I'm sorry it went a few minutes over. I knew we would get into discussions on this, but all right. We will see you on the app.
All righty, we'll see you guys.
Bye.